All right, what's going on, everybody? This is Wrightway J with Wrightway J Speaks, and I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. All right, so today, we are talking about a Mr. Kanye West. Now, for those of you who haven't seen it, which unless you're living under a rock, I don't know how you haven't seen the Drink Champs interview that he did with Nori and DJ EFN. Phenomenal interview. Great job. They let Kanye rock. They just let him say what he had to say. They tried to curate it as best as possible, but it was like Nori was like, "Yo, just I don't even want to let him. I don't even want to stop him. I want to just let him rock," and I respect that. Now there were some things that Kanye was saying in that interview that was like very, 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 very important, extremely important. Like one thing that I hear Kanye talk about is like the importance of family, and how he made the reference about the song from Drake, "Daddy's not around," and then Kanye was like, "I want to know when it's gonna be like, Daddy's back in town." When is that part coming out? Like, I like that because that shows unity right there. That shows like the importance of like a nuclear family. Call you People can call Kanye crazy, but I'm gonna get more into that. Keep that in mind. I'm gonna go more into that word crazy, but let me keep going. Um, the importance of family, that unity. He's about that. Like he's fighting for his family. Like when he was saying like, "Yo, what would it be like if his wife, because he called her his wife, Kim, what if she did become that attorney?" You know, understanding her influence, her power, how he was explaining it. Like if she became that attorney, it would be less cleavage. It would be more professional looking. Other women would see that and want to emulate that. Kanye saw that in Kim, and rightfully so. You can see it; it's clear as day. So I respect the fact that he sees the power in his wife, and also being that he brought up, her father, Robert Kardashian. Saying like how she was like following along in those footsteps and using that as a way to basically push certain agendas that you feel work for you, that you feel benefit the community as a whole, because Kanye really is about community. Like he's really read Powernomics. You could tell like the things that he's talking about, building his own towns and just being self-sufficient. He's read Powernomics. He's very familiar with it. But going back to how he wanted like Kim, as far as like in that position where she could use her influence to actually benefit the community. If he sees a way that that can work, I mean, how he was explaining I could see it. I could see it working. If Kim could use her influence to help get people out of jail, be either she wrote it herself or she had somebody write it for her. However, that may have taken place. I'm not 100% familiar on it. Like I really, really have to dig into it, so I don't want to go too deep into it. But just from what I'm hearing from Ye, like I respect that. Now, another point that Kanye made that I think was very, very, very informative and very important is when he said that blacks are Jews. If you ever get a chance to read this book, it's called Wicked Words, Poison Minds, Racism in the Dictionary. It's by Furpo Carr. Brilliant book. Brilliant book. And he actually goes into like the dictionary and he explains basically all the racism behind the words in the dictionary, like each word, the racist history behind it. He actually dug into it. And there's actually something I want to read from it. All right. Now it gives the definition of Semitic according to Webster's Ninth New College Dictionary. Semitic, of relating to or constituting a subfamily of Afro-Asiatic language, of the Afro-Asiatic language family that includes Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic, and Ethiopic. Now that's the definition. Now to quote him, Mr. Carr, this term has become almost exclusively Jewish. It, however, shouldn't be. Being Semitic doesn't mean just being Jewish. It also means being Arabic, and yes, Ethiopian, aka African, aka Black. That part was me. Obviously, Ethiopians are Black Africans. So, according to the above definition, a Black African, if he's Ethiopian, is Semitic. Now, I want to just read the definition of anti-Semitism. Hostility toward or discrimination against Jews as a religious or racial group. Now that's interesting. I thought there were other separate Semitic races. So, seems to me somebody hijacked the term Semitic and used it to their advantage to benefit them. And once it benefited them, they told the true people, oh no, this is ours. You can't have it. Now, when you think about just the term Semitic, it says Afro. Come on, do I really have to clarify that part? All right. And Asiatic. Now, if you look at how wide Asia is, you can see a lot of mixing was going on, but that's a whole nother thing. Well, actually, not necessarily, but kind of, sort of. But just in closing, when you think of like just the term Afro-Asiatic, this is me. I'm thinking of a Black person with Chinese eyes with an afro. That's what Semitic sounds like to me, according to the definition. But then if you look today, that's not the case. Like, Jewish are actually white-skinned people with like blonde hair, and they're definitely not the Semitic people according to the definition. Like what Jews are today, like according to the definition, that can't be, because there's no Afro-Asiatic. I don't see it. I personally don't see it. So I can understand where Kanye is coming from. Now, another thing that Kanye went on about, that like his whole thing about, you know, when he was saying that we are being put into the program, he was basically like describing like the Matrix in a way. That's basically what he was describing. He's saying we're plugged into the program. He basically just described it. It's basically the Matrix. That's all it is. And then and then again, and another thing, the analogy on the cows was brilliant. Being that, and here's how. Being that he related the cows to like artists in the industry. The cows have what the industry needs to survive and thrive. Without the cow meat, without the cow's milk, without the cow's body, the industry would crumble. So, who has more power? That's the question. Because you do understand now that with the internet, like, we can create our own, so we don't necessarily need the industry per se. We have the people. That's what's important. And Kanye talked about that. It's the people. When you have the people, that's what's important. As a matter of fact, if you ever get a chance to go back, I remember I watched this. I watched Gladiator with Russell Crowe, and there was one scene that just changed the way I look at life. When I can't remember who it was, but he was about to fight, and the guy, I guess that was his owner or whatever, like was like, make sure you win the crowd. If you win the crowd, you're good. And I'm like, If you get the masses of people to believe you, that's what gives you power. You know? Now, another thing I want to talk about with Kanye, because this was a great interview. When Kanye goes over how he got started with pills, this clearly shows that you can't trust quote unquote medical professionals. I mean, you slam a guy, you go to anger management. Anger management is hitting on Amber Rose, which was his girlfriend at the time, and then just giving Kanye some pills. So I'm like, oh, so that medical professional, anger management coach, didn't care at all. He just said, hey man, just take some pills and have a good day. So hey Amber, what type of movies are you into? Really? In front of me? But it makes sense, like, and it was crazy. It makes sense when you think about it. Like, and I'm pretty sure that the anger management coach was a white guy. I mean, I wasn't there, I wasn't in the room, but if I had to guess, I'd guess he was white. I'm sure that he was. And what Kanye also said is that those pills led him to like that being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And when you have that bipolar disorder, they like to call you quote unquote crazy. Now I'm going into the part that I was going to talk about when it comes to being called quote unquote crazy. You know, because even Dave Chappelle talked about this. Like, even Dave Chappelle said, like, when he talked about, like, when you call people crazy, that's being dismissive. And, you know, he talked about, like, you know, Martin Lawrence, for example, when he was, like, I think it was in LA, and he had a gun, waving a gun around, and people was calling him crazy. And then when Dave seen him, he asked Martin like, "Hey man, how are you?" And Martin was like, "I got the best sleep in my life." And he was like, "That's not a weak man." So when you call people crazy, you're dismissing them as though like they don't know what they're saying. And what it does is that when you call them crazy and you dismiss them, you have the masses of people believing that this person is crazy, that Kanye is crazy also. You have the media who make Kanye seem as though he's more crazier than what he actually is, which he's really not. In my opinion, he's not crazy. And with media, to quote Malcolm X, well, I'm paraphrasing, the media will manipulate you to believe as though the victim is the perpetrator and the perpetrator is the victim. Shout out Judge Bruce Schroeder. And oh yeah, by the way, all of this that I'm talking about, as far as just crazy, and like with the crazy, and then Kanye with the story of how he got started with pills and bipolar disorder, all of that with the media, all of that is under the unified field theory. Everything works in unison under one common goal. If the goal, now what's the goal? If the goal, silence Kanye. Kanye is too loud. Kanye is too unruly. Give him these pills, medical, to sedate him, to suppress his mind. All right, the pills aren't working. Call him crazy in the media. Call him crazy on the blog sites. All right, media, medical, working in unison under one common goal. Silence Ye. Unified field theory. If you haven't yet, please look up Dr. Welsing's work, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's work, The ISIS Papers. Phenomenal read. It'll definitely expand your mind. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave it right here. This is Wrightway J. Wrightway J Speaks. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, and share. I greatly appreciate everybody. Stay tuned, and I'll be back with another one.